I was born in San Francisco, and I lived, when I was little, on Hyde Street somewhere.
Norman Wong's family history is similar to many American families. It's a history of military service, blended families, and birthday parties in a growing family. What sets his lineage apart is a deep connection to the 14th Amendment of the American Constitution.
I think he was my great-great-grandfather.
He's talking about Wong Kim Ark, a part of his family history he learned later in life from his own father.
When I first heard it, I didn't know how important it was, because to me it was presented as old history, done, settled.
Wong Kim Ark was born in San Francisco in 1873 to Chinese immigrant parents.
On Sacramento Street.
In his 20s, he returned to the city from a trip to China.
He made sure that he had notarized that he was citizen of the U.S. and stuff like that, but even then they gave him a hard time when he came back.
Wong Kim Ark was told he wasn't a citizen. He fought back, and his case went all the way to the Supreme Court in 1898. From that came a landmark decision based on the 14th Amendment and establishing birthright citizenship to anyone born on American soil.
I think all of us have a certain amount of pride that he did. The thing that he was willing to do is stand up. A lot of people aren't willing to stand up. They're being feared of being pounded down.
To know that his case got all the way up to the Supreme Court at that time and has now set a precedent, what does that mean to you, or what does that make you think?
I think it means nothing if all of a sudden the rights disappear.
President Trump signed an executive order on his first day of office that would ban birthright citizenship. Although the constitutionality of that executive order has been questioned and challenged, Norman remains wary that a right entwined with his family legacy could still be taken away.
I think it's really a sign of the feeling American people want to go after somebody.
He says he plans to continue the fight his great-great-grandfather started.
I find this stuff actually invigorating, that I live for a reason, and maybe the spirit of Wong Kim Ark was in me.
In San Francisco, Sarah McGrew, KCRA 3 News.
And the city of San Francisco joined California and 21 other Democratic-led states in a lawsuit challenging President Trump's executive order.